The enthusiast community is not all that big, and when it comes to videos, everyone seems to be watching the same people. Coaster Studios, Airtime Thrills, Toro Ryan, you name it. Bandwagoning is a common human phenomenon, and is a mild extension of peer pressure, and causes people to think something because everyone else thinks that. Bandwagoning is so unbelievably common in the coaster community, especially where a couple of opinions dominate the field. In today's video, I'm going to take a deep dive into bandwagoning in the community, why it occurs, give some examples of coasters that have been totally bandwagoned, and what you can do about it. This is a fairly complex subject, and it'd be great if you could click that subscribe button so I can keep up the interesting content. Let's dive in. I first thought about this subject during a discussion I had with a viewer after my aerodynamics video. We were talking about two way overrated coasters, and he used the term bandwagon. And I just thought about it, and it made a ton of sense. This phenomenon is a big deal, and affects everyone in the community. Let's give some context. I would consider anyone with over 50k subscribers in the coaster community pretty influential, and anyone with over 10k subscribers having a pretty big microphone as well. The problem is, there aren't that many people with this many subscribers. These high subscriber YouTube channels wage a lot of power in the community, and can completely shift general opinions. Toro Ryan makes less opinion-focused videos and more detailed engineering videos that I find really interesting, but they don't give any opinions, and his only opinion videos are his top 25, which come out like every year. Coaster Studios is the largest channel in the community, with over 200,000 subscribers. Like Toro Ryan, he does not make too many general opinion videos, and tends to focus on specific reviews, vlogs, and other types of content. With these two out of the way, Airtime Thrills is easily the voice with the largest microphone in the community. He makes opinion-focused content, such as his Buy or Sell series, and a ton of other rankings and reviews. While he has the least amount of subs of the big three, Airtime Thrills, in my opinion, sets the tone towards rides in the community. Perhaps I think this because he has influenced me so much about rides I've never ridden, then I ride them and realize he's kinda wrong. Just in my opinion. I talk about Airtime Thrills a lot on this channel, probably because I'm mildly obsessed with his content, and he was the inspiration for this channel, and his home park was Magic Mountain, so yeah. To truly understand this phenomenon, we have to dive into some specific examples. I'm going to talk about two at my home park, Six Flags Magic Mountain. These being Scream and Goliath. I'm lumping these two together, because the community seems to lump them together, both as bland, boring rides that aren't even worth riding if you come to the park. Everyone who seems to ride these, or not even ride these, has a strong opinion that they are very weak rides. People blast Scream for being a parking lot coaster, and they rip Goliath for having no airtime. Huh, I wonder where they got those opinions. Oh yeah, Airtime Thrills happens to think the same thing. With Magic Mountain as my home park, I can tell you, Scream is really not all that bad, and one of the better floorless coasters in the country, far better than Rougarou at Cedar Point. As for Goliath, I think it's top 4 in the park. People who say it's not good go in the ride with that opinion, just want to get it over with, and tend to go for the middle or back row. Please don't. Wait for the front no matter how much longer it is. The front is like a completely different ride. The sense of speed is incredible, and I always have to put my hands down during the tunnel of the first drop because the roof feels so close. The airtime hill after the turnaround gives great floater, and the sense of speed continues. Airtime Thrills admits that he does not ride Goliath all that often, and Coaster Studios only got one ride on this, in the back row, and boom. The community opinion for Goliath is set, and people go in thinking it's a trash ride and spring for the middle rows just to get it over with, or they don't ride it at all. Come on, please, somebody give it a chance in the front row. It will shock you. It's also somehow cool to hate on Goliath and Scream to show that you're a real enthusiast or something. The opposite could be said for the piece of trash at the other end of the park, Viper. I don't like Viper. I know most people don't like Viper. It's rough, uncomfortable, boring, and awkward. There's one person who does like Viper. Airtime Thrills. Boom! Community opinion is set that Viper is a forceful classic, and one of the strongest rides at Magic Mountain, which couldn't be farther from the truth. I made this point in my aerodynamics video, but it's like you shouldn't be an enthusiast if you can't appreciate old classic aero coasters, which all suck. I don't want to sound insular, because I know no one is directly saying that, oh, you like Goliath, you GP, or anything like that. Just the kind of sly remarks, like from Coaster Studios. You said when talking about Goliath, oh, but it's big and the GP seem to love it. Let's now talk about the opposite of bandwagoning. Unbandwagoning? This is basically when everyone goes against a popular opinion, just seem edgy or contrarian, or they don't really believe it. One coaster most affected by this is Steel Vengeance. Parks Pros made a video a little while back about how it became cool to hate on Steel Vengeance. In case you guys don't know, Steel Vengeance is not my number one, or really even close. It's like number 8, and I put both Twisted Colossus and Millennium Force over it. I don't say this just to be different. Steel Vengeance is just not my favorite type of ride. Ejector Airtime is really fun, but when it's the only thing in the ride, I find it more painful than fun. Obviously, it's still an incredible and long ride, and this is my real unaffected take. I think bandwagoning can have two different effects. For one, it definitely sets expectations for a ride. Whenever I ride a new coaster, I always watch a couple of reviews just so I appropriately can set my expectations. With a bandwagon, these expectations may totally be off, because only a few people with a really large microphone are influencing the entire community. Everyone sees rides differently, and looks for different things in their ideal coaster. As I've said in previous videos, expectations can make or break a coaster. That could not be more true. If you go into a ride thinking that everyone hates it, but when in reality only a couple people with a large microphone hate it, you'll probably come out of the ride thinking it was actually better than it was. Let's say the general opinion that Goliath is a 3. The ride is actually a 6, but you come off thinking it was a 7 or 8 because of how low you set your expectations. Again, that being in the front row. For example, with a good ride, my number 1 coaster, Maverick. General consensus seemed to be that it's a pretty good ride with bad restraints. I wasn't expecting that and came off totally blown away. I thought it was easily better than Steel Vengeance, and after a few more rides and one of the best incredible night rides ever, I determined it was my number 1. Let's talk about my expectations for Steel Vengeance. I went in just after watching Coaster Studios' review, where he basically said the ride sent him to heaven. I went in with these expectations and was a little disappointed. No doubt a great ride, but not as elite as everyone is saying. I do want to go back at some point with new expectations and get a new opinion of this ride and give it a fair shake. Perhaps if I had the expectations for Maverick and Steel Vengeance flipped, I could have totally different opinions on the two coasters. Expectations are important, and the bandwagon sets those expectations. Nowadays, whenever I ride a new coaster, I watch a couple reviews, but I take them with a grain of salt, because I don't want them to affect how I see the ride. Anyway, this is definitely one of my longer videos, so congratulations if you made it to the end. What do you think about bandwagoning? Is it real? How do expectations affect your final opinion of the ride? Please talk to me in the comments, it's why I started this channel. Please consider giving this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.